journey of a karateka.
Episode 5. Find your resolve. Jacksonville, Florida. The place with warm skies, pretty lights, and smooth waves. But currently, my life hasn't been as good as any of these things. For several months now, my family's been going through a major crisis. And unfortunately, because of that, I've had to take a step back from training at the dojo that I've been a student at for almost 3 years. It doesn't mean that I've given up on martial arts or even on karate, but it does make me feel sort of like a ronin, a samurai with no master at the moment. Regardless of how I feel and how difficult the pain can be right now, I still have to find the resolve to train. And to find that resolve, we find ourselves exactly where we need to be, in the gym. Now, before we do any kind of lifting or other workout in the gym, the most important thing we have to do is stretch. I do a different series of stretches depending on the workout, but for this one, we're going to run through some of my favorites. We'll start off with some front kick stretching, or the monster walk. Really, it's all about when you feel as though you've stretched enough. However, when you're stretching, you should obviously be careful and not overdo it. From there, we're going to do open the gate. When opening the gate, we're simply going to be lifting our knees and making sure we're bringing them outwards in order to get a good stretch on the groin and the hips. We do the same thing in reverse when closing the gate. Next, we do lunges. You don't have to necessarily bend your back the way I am. I'm just doing it because I know it's going to crack my back and I need it. But make sure you're going down on one knee, not touching the ground completely, but getting a good stretch. This is great for your groin area and for kind of warming up the legs. Next, we follow that up with ground sweeps. Ground sweeps are fantastic for core activation, hamstring, and it's a good stretch for the groin. Not to mention for me, it kind of works the calves. Now that we've warmed up, it's time to start the actual work. We're going to be stepping on to the bench press. The bench press works a multitude of things, from the arms to the shoulders, and of course, the chest. But it's very important that you use a weight that is not too heavy for you on the bench press. For me, I'm using 45 pounds on each side, which just equals to about 90. Nothing too crazy. As far as how many sets I'm doing, I typically like to do 4 sets of 10. Make sure to pace yourself and not go too fast. Now that we've finished on the bench press, we're moving to the second room in order to do some body conditioning when we get back. Karate Kieth. Karate Kieth. After taking our time and getting a good workout on the bench press, we now move on to the second room in order to start our body conditioning. Body conditioning is very unique because it's not something that every martial art sees the need to do. I like to start from the bottom, working my way up. I typically start with 10 hits to the legs on each side. I want to take time to clarify that this is not an exercise I am recommending you do. Typically, I've only seen this body conditioning be performed by professionals and other trained karatekas who know what they're doing. Doing this kind of damage on yourself can be very dangerous if you're not careful. After working our lower body, it's time that we move up. We find ourselves now doing 20 hits to the midsection. As you can see, I am not taking it light on myself at all. Because I'm only doing 20 hits, I have to make sure that these hits that are going to the arms and to the midsection actually matter. If you can't tell by the look on my face, this is a very difficult part of the conditioning that can be painful to have to do. After doing all of our body conditioning from the legs, midsection, and arms, it's time to finish this light workout with some core and cardio. We're going to be doing 100 sit-ups. Of course, we're breaking it in half into 2 sets of 50. If you feel tough enough, you can go for the straight 100, but for the sake of the exercise, it's better to break it in half. Something to keep in mind when doing sit-ups is the fact that you shouldn't be interlocking your fingers behind your head. This can damage your neck and can cause pain in the back. It's better that you put the hands to the side if you can. Sit-ups are one of those timeless exercises that you can really do anywhere. They don't require anything but you. Of course, that doesn't mean they're necessarily easy for everyone. And if you can't do 50, at least start with 10. And try throughout the week to do more and more when you can. And for the last bit of this cardio workout, and for the last workout overall, I want to do the back and forth drill. This drill is one that I use consistently, almost every other day in the week. This drill is not about shadow boxing, and it's not necessarily about figuring out how you want to throw a move at someone. Mainly, it's all about footwork. It's about gauging the distance and understanding how to get in and out of the pocket without getting hit. When executed consistently, this workout can be great for helping you improve your cardio, helping you have better reflexes, and most of all, helping you get a little more speed in your footwork. A tip to keep in mind when looking at footwork is that when we're moving forward, the back leg should be following, and when we're moving backwards, the front leg should be following. Overall, I think it's a wonderful drill for cardio. The very last thing I do before getting ready to leave the gym is to just take some deep breaths. I know I'm sitting crisscross applesauce, but I promise I'm not doing any chants or anything like that. I'm really just sitting down and taking some deep breaths in silence. Life can be extremely stressful, and while having a gym can be a wonderful outlet to deal with that stress, sometimes just sitting down quietly and taking it all in is just as important. And that's what it does for me. The main thing that I've learned from all this time of dealing with life and family and situations is that no matter what happens, no matter the highs, no matter the lows, I have to keep training, I have to keep fighting, I have to build myself back up, because that's, the way of a karateka. That's the way of a real martial artist, of a warrior. That is what it means to have resolve.